So while I'm cutting this thing open, I might as well yap. Today's video was only made possible by some crazy toy clearance discount happening over at Targets. Had errands last week, stopped by a few Targets while I was out, and saw that the portable stadium was 50% off and the bucket stadium was 70% off. Had to pick them up since I doubt I'll ever see those prices that low ever again, so terrible spending habits, I guess. Woohoo. And it's out of the box. Here we go. Hello, and welcome into the channel for anyone who's watching. I'll be reviewing both the Hasbro Clash and Carry Stadium as well as the Bucket Stadium at the end of the video, so I'll have reviewed all of Hasbro Stadiums thus far. Getting to the Drop Attack Stadium did kind of take a while since there was a lot to get into, so hopefully today there will be a quick review since there isn't nearly as much to cover here. But in any case, let's get the ball rolling, starting with the Clash and Carry Stadium. I'm sure a lot of us are already aware of this thing's existence and how it works, but for those who might not know, I'll go ahead and summarize. The Clash and Carry Stadium was made by Hasbro and was meant to serve as a portable arena for those who are constantly on the go. Since the normal stadiums are very obviously bulky as hell, like I can barely fit the Hasbro one on the camera here. They're very space efficient and can fold into this sort of briefcase shape, but this does come at the cost of gameplay balance and functionality, and I'll be covering all of these, so stay tuned. But first, it'll probably do me better if I got myself some more space before we move on, so voila. Man, this thing looks so cool when it's closed. I feel very classy. So like I said earlier, this stadium is able to fold in and out for portability, unlike all the other X stadiums. And it's a little finicky, but I'm sure once you get the hang of it, it'll be second nature to you. The secret behind the compact shape of the briefcase form are the stadium walls, which fold onto each other. And when they are folded out, they make more or less a giant box, if I can do this correctly. The walls definitely don't provide nearly as much cover as a normal stadium does, since it doesn't have any lid or ceiling. So bays may very easily fly out of this stadium, so just keep that in mind. Otherwise, the stadium has pretty much everything you need for a battle like in all the other stadiums, and even comes with an X-rail and 4 pockets. The first and most notable difference, besides how small the portable stadium obviously is the position of the pockets. 4 corners, 4 pockets, but we do lack one in the center in front of the X-rail where the extreme zone used to be. This is because both of these zones here have become the extreme finish zones, where the overfinished zones would have been in normal stadiums. They're also the same exact size as the overfinished zones, which have been redirected toward the back, and this will obviously change a lot of stadium dynamics in a lot of ways that I don't feel like explaining right now, but yeah. Another thing to know with the knockout zones is that there aren't really any walls protecting the bay from, the hole itself, like in normal stadiums. We have, in normal stadiums, a pillar here that can, help Beyblades bounce off of them, and then we also have a small wall that does a little bit in keeping bays out. But we don't really have that in this stadium, so they're gonna probably fall in very easily. Except not really. Spoiler alert, but you'll see later that because of how shallow these zones are in comparison to the normal stadium, bays like to jump out of them a lot, and it is very loud. Anyways, moving on to the next part, we'll see that the X-rail isn't actually part of the mold like with the Bucket and the Drop Attack stadiums, where they're sort of sealed onto the mold itself. They're more or less the same as the normal stadiums, and I think they're also able to detach, which is a very good thing. Bits won't get chewed up as much by them, and they'll be able to perform dashes like normal, so that's one good thing about the stadium. I do kind of wish they just keep these kinds of rails instead of just using the stupid mold like with the other stadiums. It really helped stadium quality a lot and also preserved your Beyblades, but what's been done is done. And the last thing I'd like to highlight is this crevice that runs along the middle of the stadium here. Obviously it's here because the stadium has to fold, but this does pose a big problem for sharper bits like Needle and Wedge. Those pointed bits will inevitably get stuck in this crevice, not only hindering their movement, but also making it very easy for other bays to just run up and do extreme dashes and hit them. There's not really much you can do about that besides just using different bits altogether, but we can't really blame Hasbro either because the stadium wouldn't really be able to be foldable otherwise. But yeah, not much else I can talk about here, so I might as well show you everything I was talking about. Hit the test battle music. Like my other stadium reviews, I'll just go ahead and throw random stock combos at each other, and here I put every single Beyblade I have onto a wheel that I'll spin for every battle. This is interesting. in the day. No way Rhino Reaper won that. What? Wow. Alright, so my thoughts on the stadium. Obviously, you're not buying this for anything competitive. It's not a good stadium in that sense, but it performed its job decently well. Like I said already, it's portable, and because of that, it's small. And because it's small, your battles don't last very long, and nothing really happens except just lots of chaos, which is very par for the course for Hasbro stadiums. Besides that, the two glaring issues that I already made note of are the shallow nature of the pockets as well as the crevice in the middle, which honestly weren't that much of problems, mostly because since you're not buying this for competitive value, it doesn't really matter. All you just want to do is just be able to play on the go. So one thing that I did want to praise the stadium for is how clean the extreme dashes are. Yeah, so other Hasbro stadiums don't have that at all. It was kind of a nice surprise to see dashes come out very cleanly. One thing that I did forget to make mention of is the stadium material. It's a lot harder of a plastic than the bucket stadium and the normal stadium, which can prove to be a detriment to your bits, depending on how much you use this thing. Whether or not that's actually a problem is yet to be seen, but it is something that I might keep in mind. In terms of how good of a purchase it is, that is up to the person and their circumstances, but this thing being listed at $30 is definitely not the correct price they should be listing this as. I think $15 to $20 for this is a lot more fair, and I got this for $15, so I'm okay with that. I do understand that Hasbro needs to make a profit off this, and it probably takes a little more than $20 or something to make this, but it definitely does not play like a $30 product. So yeah, it makes sense why this thing was on 50% clearance and why nobody was buying them, and why there were so many of these still on the shelves. Not the highest value products. Whether or not you want to buy it or not is up to your circumstance and what suits your needs, but wait for it to go in discount is my recommendation. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to cover about the Clash and Carry Stadium, so let me clean up and then we can talk about the Bucket Stadium next. This thing gets pretty dirty pretty quickly. Yeah. Probably not going to use it too often. Make sure you clean these things up. Oh, and I forgot to say one last thing. The stadium has a handle. You can pop this out and it'll become like an actual briefcase, which is pretty sick. And there we go. Now, the Bucket Stadium. There's no assembly required or anything for this one, just take it off the store shelf and it's already good to go as it is. So, we can go straight into the design. The Bucket Stadium is kind of similar to the Portable Stadium in that it's also walled off in a square, complete with 4 zones on each corner and of course this extreme line. What's different though is the material of the plastic, like I mentioned earlier, the shape of the X-Rail, which I already said is just vacuum sealed onto the mold itself, and the placement of the zones. The Bucket Stadium is made of a very soft and flimsy plastic, so bays will be bouncing a lot inside of it. It does make playing with it kind of interesting since everyone kind of just gets a built-in quake effect. Unfortunately, since the X-Rail is part of the mold, it's this lower quality rail that can't get consistent dashes. And it'll also damage your bits since instead of latching onto them, you'll just be scraping against the rail. And lastly, the knockout zones, which there isn't an instruction manual that comes with this stadium, so what me and my pals agree is that all 4 of the zones just count as normal overfinish zones, and then if a bay gets completely sent out of the stadium, it counts on extreme finish. I don't know if there actually are any official rules. I didn't do my research on this because, like, who cares? But up to you. You're the player. Anyways, I'll do a few battles with the Bucket Stadium just for the sake of time, maybe 5 or so, and then we can call it there. Alright, thank you so much for making it to the very end. I know it's not a Beyblade review or anything, nor does it cover anything new, so I doubt this video will get as much traction, but if you're still here, you have my thanks. Like the video if you enjoyed, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel if you want, and as always, take it easy and stay chill.